Hello and welcome to another episode of Take City. This time we'll be recapping a great NBA draft last night for some people, a horrible NBA draft for others. I'll explain who I think is who shortly. There were some big trades, including one with my Celtics and one with the Warriors, as a result of the initial Bradley Beal trade. I know I've been gone for a couple weeks. I've been busy as hell, but now I'm back to recap the draft. So here we go. First thing I want to talk about is Scoot Henderson. I think Scoot's going to be the best player in this draft. And if you watch this guy speak, if you watch this guy play basketball, if you watch this guy probably water ski, it doesn't matter. You can tell he has the dog inside of him that will make him the best player in this draft. Hasn't been seen since the likes of maybe Anthony Edwards, since I liked a guy this much coming out of the draft. Wembanyama obviously goes one, and generational talent. Everybody says it, best prospect since LeBron, yada yada yada. I disagree. I mean, the guy's gonna be great, sure, but just the injury profile that could arise with this guy could be deadly, and we see it happen time and time again with these bigs. So the question is, are his preventative methods, including his foot stretching, all this good stuff, able to prevent him from the career-altering or ending injuries that we often see with big men? I mean, Embiid took about 3 years to finally become an impact player in the league. If Scoot is just right away dropping 20 and 10 or 15 and 8 for 3 years and has all that time to improve while Wembanyama's hurt, you never know. So that's the main takeaway would be Scoot Henderson was my number one overall player in this draft, and the Portland Trailblazers got an absolute steal at number 3, and Dame Lillard would be crazy to request a trade because they picked the best player available at number 3. Hornets, man. Oh, geez. I mean, Brandon Miller's going to be good, not great. Michael Jordan's last decision as owner of the team, and you just knew he was going to pick whichever choice was worse, which in this case happened to be Brandon Miller. No hate on the GOAT, Michael Jordan, but he is in fact the WOAT owner in terms of winning, ironically. So, awful mistake, I would say, by the Charlotte Hornets. I think Brandon Miller can be a nice player in the league, like maybe a Brandon Ingram type of guy, but I just don't see the potential that I see with Scoot. Scoot can be John Morant. Scoot can be Russell Westbrook at MVP form. It's going to be really hard to contain that guy. His athleticism is out of this world. And back to Wembanyama, the Spurs clearly leaning into the youth movement. I keep seeing in the second round they were snagging up all the young guys, all the Euro guys they could possibly, all the projects they could possibly get, so they can stack this team potentially for 2027, 2026. I've seen others float the idea of trying to contend now with such a generational prospect. I disagree with that notion. Let him build. Let him grow up with young guys that will be invested in both the team and his young career's success. I think that's the best way to build, at least if you're starting from scratch, which they basically are, although they have Keldon Johnson. I would just build around this guy, make sure everybody's timeline matches up with him perfectly so that you have a strong and defined championship window. Maybe 5 years from now, maybe 7 years from now, who knows? But you basically have him under contract for 8 years. That's just the way it goes with rookie contracts these days if you're a generational talent. So we'll see if he lives up to that hype. Number 4 and number 5, very cool story. The Thompson twins go back-to-back. I really thought Cam Whitmore would be a top 7 pick, but the Thompson twins ruined the draft prop under 5.5 for Cam Whitmore, and they go 4 and 5. Amen Thompson going to Houston and Asar Thompson going to Detroit. I would just say these guys seem like they're really good, but they're coming from overtime elite. I don't know. I know all they do is grind, and that's what all they were saying, but so does every other kid in this class. And I really don't know if their level of competition is going to be able to match up to anything. Going into the more trade aspect of the night, obviously we have the Celtics trading away Marcus Smart in exchange for, and Mike Muscala, the 35th pick in this draft, and Danilo Gallinari to eventually get 2 first-round picks, one of which we moved around a million times last night, and Kristaps, Big Daddy Porzingis. I'm very excited about Porzingis. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for the Celtics. I think we're really going to unlock his true potential. He had his career year last year playing on a terrible Wizards team. If he's the 3rd option on our squad, or the 4th option perhaps, I really think he's going to shine. And if he just focuses on defense and rebounding just a little bit more, we could be in a really, really good spot in terms of the front court, at least for this coming year, because that's all we have him under contract for. As far as Marcus Smart, so many memories with that dude, man. Been watching him since, I believe he was like 20, 21. Now he's 29. Invested a lot of time, energy, arguments, defending that man and watching him. And I love him to death. If I saw him in person, if he was comfortable with it, I would give him a big hug, thank him for all he's done. I mean, the guy dyed his hair green for multiple years here. That's really committing to the Celtic pride. The definition of a dog, of a hustle player, of a winning play type of guy. And I'm really, really sad to see him go, but I think he's really going to thrive in Memphis, especially with Ja out the first 25 games. He can become a de facto leader of the team during that time. And it was time to move on from this core of the same guys that we keep trotting out every year, just to not go all the way. So this move was about unlocking potential that the team didn't have before in terms of making a playoff run. And I think we did that because, as much as I love Marcus, there's a ceiling to how well he can play as a basketball player that I think Kristaps Porzingis can reach, if not extend the height of that play. The other big trades, obviously the Beal trade happened a while ago now. Terrible trade for the Suns. One of the worst trades I've ever seen. Matt Ishbia should be removed from ownership quite immediately for the recklessness his front office has shown in his short few weeks as owner of this team. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you not take maybe an extra year to develop some young dudes, whatever? They're gonna not have enough money to sign literal dudes that have to be on the roster, minimum guys. It's unbelievable to me what they're doing, and at the same time, they could win the championship next year. I think Bradley Beal is not worth anywhere near how much they had to give up for him. 4 first-round pick swaps, 6 second-round picks, basically the entire second-round picks for all of the decade. And Chris Paul. You needed to move on from Chris Paul, but not in this way. Obviously, you need to make the salaries match and everything, and that's difficult to do. But Bradley Beal, man, just let his career run out in Washington. Don't help them out with this trade. The Wizards, I give them an A. Suns, maybe a D for this trade. Michael Winger is killing it as the new head of the Wizards, making really smart moves all over the place, trading away Porzingis, picking up Tyus Jones and some picks. Tyus Jones is a dog, starting point guard in the NBA, and he'll get that shot now alongside Jordan Poole. And that's the other big thing. Jordan Poole is traded for Chris Paul. Chris Paul headed to the Bay to play for the Warriors to possibly back up Steph. Probably back up Steph instead of moving Steph to the 2. Obviously, Steph is the best player on that team. And then Jordan Poole going to the Wizards, which I really like, actually. Jordan Poole, they're paying him a huge contract. The Warriors can no longer afford that type of thing with the new CBA and the second apron, with the hard cap being lowered to basically $190 million. Lower than we've seen that type of line in a while in terms of NBA teams spending money. And I really like it for the Wizards, man. Another great move. Jordan Poole gets to cook without being in the shadow of Steph, being in the shadow of Clay, getting punched by Draymond in training camp. And they just got some young dudes that'll play. So, like that move a lot for the Wizards and as well for the Warriors, honestly. I think Chris Paul would be the perfect backup point guard to have in this league at his advanced age right now. And you can tell he still wants a championship, man, and Steph wants another one too. So, we'll see how that goes. Could be a Suns, Warriors, Western Conference Finals for all we know, but no, the Nuggets are making it back. Okay, back to the draft. Anthony Black goes number 6 to the Magic. I say that's like a B pick. Nothing really to report there. I don't know who this French guy that the the Wizards ended up getting at number 7 is. But I'm sure he's a developmental project that'll go along with their timeline. Probably a smart pick. I just don't know it yet. Going down for some interesting picks, I thought Cason Wallace to the Magic was a really, really nice to the Thunder was a really nice pickup. He'll compliment Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so well as a defending, playmaking guard to put aside your superstar you have on your team. And yes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar. If you don't know it by now, you should. Continuing on, Derek Lively ends up in Dallas, which they needed a big man, so I like that move a lot. I didn't watch a ton of Duke this year, but I know Derek Lively had some big-time touting coming out of high school. Grady Dick goes to Raptors. What a great pick. One of the best picks of the whole thing. Grady Dick bossed out wearing the red, shimmering, shining suit. Already probably knew he was promised to the Raptors at 13, and they get the best shooter in this draft all the way down there at 13, which is a great call. The next best shooter in this draft, probably Jordan Hawkins going to New Orleans, which I love as well. Put him in at the 2 or the 3, depending on if you're putting CJ at the 1, and then you roll out any of the young talent that they have on that roster. I think this could be a big year for the Pelicans if Zion finds a way to stay healthy and stays away from Mariah Mills. Later in the draft, Jaime Jaquez is the perfect pick for the Miami Heat. He is so Heat culture, it's not even funny. I watched this dude, obviously, in his Final Four run and his Sweet 16 runs. This guy, he is a dog. He will leave it out. He will leave it all out on the floor, and he's a junkyard dog too. Like, he's been disrespected his whole life. In Miami, he will flourish, as many have, who are not as highly touted, but who are dogs. That's all they have on their team. Trust me, I just saw it happen to the Celtics. And now they're rolling with Jaime Jaquez, which I think is great. Brandon Podziemski, great fit for the Warriors. Cam Whitmore sliding to 20. The Rockets may have won the draft with Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore sliding that far because that's unbelievable. Marcus Sasser, a nice fit. Going at 25, I thought he was going to the Celtics. The Celtics, man, we traded back 3 times. The roller coaster of emotions I went through from thinking we got Marcus Sasser and being like, all right, like, let's go, to being like, oh, we didn't get him. All right. Well, there's still some good guys on the board. And then we picked James Nagy, and I freak out. You should ask the people in my home at the time. I was yelling, being like, this dude's a beast. He's an animal. We just got, like, the next freak, like, center that out of nowhere, out of Team Barcelona in Spain. But alas, we traded again. Eventually end up in the second round with a bald guy out of Arkansas who appears to be an Alex Caruso type in more ways than one. And I feel horrible about it. I felt horrible about it at the time. I don't know why we had to trade back so many goddamn times, but we did it. And yeah, that's kind of all the interesting stories from the first round, and I guess the Celtics in the second round. As far as other signings, I really love that the Bulls picked up Adama Sanogo via undrafted free agency. Great pickup. Andre Jackson was a nice player I saw go in the second round. And as far as guys I really like that went too late, Max Lewis going to the Lakers is such a snag. I hate it so much because I hate the Lakers. Max Lewis, one of the best shooters in this draft. He could be an elite wing player that would fit really well alongside LeBron, especially if they lose Austin Reeves or anything like that. And G.G. Jackson going to the Grizzlies was really maddening because I wanted him at any of the Celtics picks, 25, 31, 35, 38, 39, wherever we ended up. I wanted G.G. Jackson. And Grizzlies got him at 45, so what can you say about that? Former number 1 overall player in his class. That's the perfect type of guy that Brad Stevens usually goes after, or at least Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens went after. So, in summary, really sad about Smart. The Blazers and the Rockets won the draft, in my opinion. And are we this sure about Wemby? Because I might not be. We'll see how this take ages. All right, thank you. Take City. See you next time.